chosen one. Can you feel the shift in the air tonight? The atmosphere hums with a sacred current, something unseen yet deeply alive. Heaven leans closer, and time itself seems to slow. You sense it in your spirit long before your mind can understand it. This night carries divine weight. Something ancient and holy is unfolding, quietly, without spectacle, but not without power. This is not coincidence. It is alignment. You have been guided to this very moment, not by the algorithm, but by divine orchestration. Heaven has waited for your readiness. You, who have walked through storms that should have drowned you, now stand at the threshold of a secret marking. The marking of the 144000, those who belong to light, who carry the pulse of eternity within mortal skin. You remember the long seasons, don't you? When prayers felt unanswered and silence stretched for miles, you wondered if God had turned away. But even then, heaven was watching, recording every tear, every whisper of faith uttered in the dark. The hidden years were not punishment, they were preparation. There was once a chosen one named Leora. She waited years for a promise she could no longer see. Each night, she whispered, "Maybe tomorrow." She didn't know that her perseverance was being recorded in heaven's archives. Then one evening, as she sat beneath the open sky, a stillness descended thick, radiant, unmistakable. She later learned it was the night heaven marked her, sealing her spirit for divine service. You, too, are in that hour now. No trumpet will sound, no visible sign will appear, yet the angels move across the earth like breath, marking those who refuse to quit when life gave them every reason to. They come to those who carry purity in hidden spaces, to those who still forgive even after betrayal. The marking isn't on your skin, it's within your being. It will manifest through your peace, your discernment, your power to walk through chaos untouched. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 2, "Darkness covers the earth, thick darkness the peoples, but the Lord rises on you, and his glory appears over you." That verse isn't distant prophecy, it's your now. The world may drown in confusion, but light recognizes its owner. Heaven's glory is finding you, even as you read this line. You may not hear a voice, but your spirit feels the echo. Something inside you says, "This is it." You're not imagining it. The Spirit of God is drawing near, tracing his signature across your soul. The same power that carved galaxies now inscribes your name among the marked. Think of yourself as a candle lit in a storm. Winds may howl, but they cannot extinguish what heaven ignites. Your flame was meant to be seen, not by crowds, but by darkness itself. When the mark settles, demons recognize it. Fear recoils. Peace surrounds. Don't rush this moment. The seal falls on hearts that are still. It's in the quiet surrender where heaven writes, "You've spent years trying to prove yourself. Tonight, you only need to yield." Every wound becomes a window for light to enter. Every scar becomes part of the seal. You were never disqualified. You were being sanctified. You were never behind. You were being hidden until appointed time. This right now is that time. So, if this word awakens something deep within you, let it rise. Whisper your agreement. Let heaven hear your yes. And if your heart leads you, type 777, below your symbol of divine completeness, your personal covenant of readiness. Share this only if the Spirit moves you to. Someone else is standing where you once stood, in confusion, in waiting, in weariness. Your simple act could unlock their awakening. Subscribe if you feel drawn to stay connected to this river of revelation, because heaven is not done speaking. The night is sacred. The marking has begun. And though the world remains asleep, the heavens are alive with recognition. You, chosen one, are seen. You are sealed. You are rising. Let peace settle over you now. Feel the soft current of heaven's breath wrapping around your shoulders like a cloak. It's not emotion, it's evidence. The presence you sense is not imagination, it is confirmation that you are known, numbered, and chosen. When dawn breaks, you will walk differently. Your words will carry weight. People will feel something shift when you enter a room, though they won't know why. That is the sign of the mark, the quiet authority of those who belong to the kingdom. So, rest. The marking is done. The heavens have recorded your yes. Walk forward with light in your eyes and purpose in your step. You are no longer waiting to be found. Heaven has already found you. You wake to a silence that is not empty. It breathes. The air feels tender, almost reverent, as though heaven itself lingers nearby. Something inside you hums with quiet certainty. You have been marked. You don't see it, but your soul recognizes it. The invisible seal of God rests like dew upon your spirit, and everything within you begins to respond. You move through the room, and even the simplest things seem different. The way light falls across the floor, the sound of your own footsteps. You sense the unseen. You are not merely awake in the natural, you are awakening in the spirit. The hidden seal has changed your frequency, tuning your heart to the wavelength of heaven. The seal is a mystery. It is not placed on perfect people, but on faithful ones. It doesn't arrive because you earned it. It comes because you endured. When the world turned away, you kept walking. When promises seemed delayed, you still believed. That quiet obedience is what drew heaven's gaze. The seal is heaven's reply to your perseverance. It speaks, though not in words, to darkness. It declares, "This one is untouchable," to heaven. It declares, "This one belongs," to your own heart. It whispers, "You are not who you were yesterday. From this moment, you no longer carry only your own name, you carry His." You begin to feel subtle changes. Your thoughts become clearer, your spirit more sensitive. You notice the voice of God in small things, in timing, in gentle impressions, in the way peace rests over decisions meant for you. The mark activates discernment. It trains your senses to recognize the holy from the hollow. Once, there was a chosen one named Amira. For years, she felt unseen. Her prayers seemed to vanish into silence. Yet she kept showing up, serving, forgiving, loving when it hurt. One night, after pouring out her heart, she felt warmth spread through her chest, a stillness that stopped time. She didn't know it then, but that was the hour heaven sealed her. From that night forward, her life carried weight. Words once ignored began to move hearts. The mark always reveals itself in transformation. The seal doesn't elevate your status, it elevates your purpose. When heaven marks you, it begins to reorder your path. You may notice that certain desires fade. Some people drift away, not because they are evil, but because they cannot walk where you're being sent. The mark separates as it sanctifies. It draws boundaries only heaven understands. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Heaven removes distractions so you can hear instructions. The same silence that once frightened you now becomes your training ground. The marked learn to live from stillness, not striving. As spoken in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 23, I will plant her, myself, in the promised land. I will show my love. You are my people. And they will answer, my God. That verse is your story. You were the overlooked, the misunderstood, the one who never quite fit. But heaven saw you, and tonight you are claimed. The seal doesn't only protect it, awakens. It begins to pull hidden potential to the surface. Gifts long buried under fear start to stir. Courage rises like light through cracks in stone. Your spirit begins to remember what heaven wrote about you before time began. And though no one else may notice, Création does. The atmosphere responds to the marked. Places you step begin to shift. People drawn near feel calm without knowing why. The seal radiates unseen authority. You carry peace as a weapon, light as a mantle. Walk quietly in this awareness. You don't need to announce it. The power of the seal speaks for itself. Let your actions echo its reality. Let your silence carry its strength. For the hidden mark is not meant to be shown, it's meant to be lived. You are not waiting to be used anymore, you are already being positioned. The hidden seal has claimed you, equipped you, and aligned you with divine timing. The world will one day see what heaven has already declared. You are chosen, sealed, and set apart. Let this awareness settle deep within you. The seal upon your soul is not fragile, it is forged in eternity. Every breath you take now carries assignment. Every step you make leaves light behind. You are living proof that heaven remembers its own. When others see ordinary, heaven sees authority. Move gently but boldly. For even your silence speaks with divine resonance. You have been sealed for purpose. The night has passed, and the dawn feels almost holy. You rise, not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. The mark upon your spirit glows faintly, unseen to the eye, yet unmistakable to heaven. You sense a new rhythm within a steady heartbeat that echoes the language of destiny. You walk outside, and the world greets you differently. The air feels alive, the light sharper, the sounds clearer. It's as if creation recognizes the shift before you fully do. Heaven has stamped its claim on you, and the earth responds accordingly. Birds sing louder, winds seem softer, everything whispers. You belong to Him. The awakening is not only a feeling, it is a call to purpose. The moment you are marked, the next phase begins, awakening the cry within. Every chosen one carries it, the sacred longing that pushes against comfort and calls you toward divine work. You have felt it before. That restlessness that won't quiet, even when life seems stable. That is the sound of your spirit, remembering what it came to earth to do. Once there was a chosen one named Micah. He lived quietly, content with ordinary days. Yet deep inside, there was a stirring, a question that would not fade. Is this all there is? For months he wrestled with that whisper, until one morning, while standing by a riverbank, He heard in his spirit the softest instruction: build what I tell you. He didn't know what it was, but he obeyed. That first step birthed a movement that would one day bring thousands back to faith. The cry of the remnant begins with one obedient heart. You feel it too. The marking has awakened your inner compass. Things you once tolerated now feel wrong. Distractions lose their grip. There's a pull to deeper prayer, to stillness, to purity. Heaven doesn't shout, it stirs. The mark intensifies that, stirring until obedience becomes your natural language. Still, the awakening can feel lonely. You look around and realize not everyone hears what you hear. People you once connected with no longer understand your hunger. Don't let that grieve you. Isolation is often the womb of revelation. God separates before he sends. The space that feels empty is actually sacred ground where his voice becomes clear, as declared in the book of Psalms, chapter 85, verse 8. I will listen to what God the Lord will say. He promises peace to his people, his faithful servants, but let them not return to folly. This is the essence of awakening, to listen and not return. Once your spirit has tasted divine clarity, you cannot go back to noise. Once peace has entered, chaos feels foreign. Heaven calls you to maintain this alignment. Guard it like treasure. You may notice small confirmations as you walk through your day. A phrase spoken by a stranger that matches your prayer. A door closing only to reveal a better one. These are not coincidences. They are coordinates. Heaven is guiding you through signs that look ordinary but are profoundly intentional. The cry of the remnant is rising. It's not loud or theatrical. It's steady, unified, unstoppable, across nations. Hearts like yours are awakening. Souls marked in secret are beginning to find each other, drawn together by the same unseen current. You are not alone. You are part of a sacred network. Heaven has been weaving quietly through time. Let this awareness ground you, not inflate you. The awakening is not for fame, it's for function. You are being prepared to carry light into dark places, to be peace in storms, to be voice where silence once ruled. This is why the seal was placed upon you. This is why the call came now. Heaven wastes nothing. So, as you read this, take a breath. Feel the divine weight of your purpose settle like a mantle across your shoulders. This isn't the end of your waiting, it's the beginning of your walking. Now, write these words below. I hear you. Oh, not as performance, but as covenant. Let it be your yes to heaven's whisper. Every time you type it, it becomes a seed of obedience, a signal that you recognize your own awakening. You are not responding to me. You are answering the one who marked you in silence. From this point forward, let your life echo that simple declaration. You have heard, you have awakened, and the world will soon see the evidence. Each time you write, I hear you. You are not just typing letters, you are building an altar in the unseen. It is a spiritual agreement, a living response to divine direction. You begin to notice the shift inside you more clearly now. It's not loud or dramatic, it's subtle, steady, undeniable. There is a deepening calm within, like a river flowing beneath the surface of your daily life. Heaven's marking has begun to shape how you see everything. The noise that once consumed your thoughts feels quieter. The chaos that used to shake you no longer finds a home in your spirit. Yet, This calm does not mean comfort. The moment you are sealed, heaven begins to test what has been placed within you. The light you carry must prove itself against the shadows that once ruled your path. These trials are not punishment, they are confirmation. You are no longer being broken, you are being measured. The test of shadows comes quietly. It doesn't always arrive through visible enemies, but often through subtle choices. You find yourself standing in familiar temptations, but they no longer taste the same. Old patterns call to you like echoes from a former life. But your spirit hesitates. That hesitation is growth. The mark has awakened your discernment. What once blinded you now exposes itself before you even approach. It's strange, isn't it? The same situations that once felt normal now seem foreign. The same conversations that once entertained you now drain your peace. Heaven changes your appetite before it changes your assignment. And when your spirit begins to crave truth over comfort, it's proof that the seal has taken root. There was once a chosen one named Kyle. For years, he carried resentment toward those who betrayed him. He thought forgiveness was weakness, that justice meant staying angry. But when heaven marked him, everything changed. He started to feel grief instead of rage, compassion instead of pride. The shadows that once held him captive became mirrors, showing him how far light had come within. The test of shadows doesn't come to destroy, it comes to reveal the strength that's already there. You will find yourself in moments that seem confusing, unexpected opposition, misunderstood motives, people questioning your change, your silence, your peace. Don't react. The mark is refining you into mastery. Each trial now becomes training. The ones who misunderstand you will one day recognize the transformation, though by then you won't need validation. The shadows test not only your patience, but your perception. They try to convince you that God has gone quiet, that the silence means distance. But the opposite is true. When heaven trusts you with silence, it's a sign of maturity. He no longer needs to shout what you've already learned to hear in whispers. The prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 19, "The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights." That is the promise hidden within your trials. The very terrain that once made you stumble will soon become the ground you walk upon with grace. You are learning how to stand steady on uncertain earth. Do not despise the testing season. Every confrontation with darkness teaches your spirit to hold light more firmly. The pain you feel is not rejection, it is recalibration. Heaven is strengthening your spiritual legs for the climb ahead. In this process, humility becomes your greatest weapon. Pride breaks easily under pressure, but humility bends and survives. The marked understand this. They bow before they rise. They forgive before they conquer. They listen before they speak. You are being trained to wield authority that comes from surrender, not control. And though the shadows try to unsettle you, they also reveal your resilience. You will notice something strange. Peace doesn't leave, even when storms rage. You might cry, yes, but beneath the tears lies an unshakable assurance: you will not break. The test of shadows teaches one truth above all: darkness has limits. It cannot touch what God has claimed. The seal is not just a promise of belonging, it's a boundary line drawn in the spirit. So, walk through this testing without fear. Let patience finish its work. Let silence mature your understanding. Every unseen battle you endure becomes part of your authority. The day will come when you'll look back and realize the shadows were never meant to harm you. They were the backdrop against which your light became visible. And when that realization dawns, you'll understand. The test was never about surviving the dark. It was about proving that the light inside you was never going to fade. You emerge from the testing not weaker, but sharper, refined, like tempered glass. The darkness didn't consume you, it clarified you. Now your light no longer flickers, it commands. Morning breaks again. And this time, the light feels personal. It doesn't just fall upon the earth, it seems to find you, wrapping gently around your shoulders, as if heaven itself is saying, I'm still here. You've passed through the testing of shadows. And though you carry a few scars, you also carry something far more valuable: clarity. You start to realize how differently your heart beats now. You notice things others overlook. Where people see problems, you sense purpose. Where they feel despair, you hear opportunity whispering. Build. The mark upon you has changed the way you experience the world. It's as if your soul has become a lamp in a dark house. Wherever you walk, light follows. You don't need to preach. Your peace preaches for you. You don't need to prove you've been chosen. Your calm becomes the evidence. That's how heaven works. It makes you glow from the inside out until the world can't help but see. This is the gathering season. Across nations and unseen places, the 144,000 are being pulled together, not by strategy or chance, but by the same current of divine recognition that runs through your veins. Heaven is synchronizing the flames. You are part of that pattern. One spark among many that will soon form a constellation of light across the world. Each connection you make now is intentional. Each person drawn to your life arrives for a purpose. The mark within you attracts alignment people who speak your language of faith, who recognize your spiritual frequency even before words are exchanged. This is how heaven builds its army, not with swords, but with hearts that burn in unison. There was once a woman named Selah. She lived in a small village, far from noise and fame. For years she wondered if her obedience mattered, if her small acts of kindness ever reached heaven's notice. One night, she dreamed of a field covered in fireflies. Each tiny light seemed insignificant, yet together they turned night into morning. When she woke, she understood the kingdom is built not by one blazing torch, but by countless faithful lights. You are one of them. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 7, "To each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good." Your light isn't just for you. It's a shared flame, meant to strengthen others. Every time you lift someone, share hope, or remind another that they are seen, you magnify the light. That is how heaven expands, through generosity of spirit, through the giving of warmth. And maybe, as you listen, you've begun to wonder how you can help carry that flame further, how you can help keep these messages, the whispers of faith, the reminders of divine purpose, burning bright for others still searching in the dark. If that thought stirs gently in your heart, know this: it's not an obligation, it's an invitation, like pouring oil into a lamp so it can shine longer. Your support, your like, your share, your subscription becomes the oil that keeps the flame alive. Every simple act helps this message reach one more wandering soul who needs to find their light again. And if your spirit ever feels moved, You can donate, not as payment, but as participation. Think of it as planting light in hidden soil. The seed may vanish from sight, but soon it becomes a tree of shade where weary hearts can rest. Giving is not demanded. It's a quiet art of trust. A whispered yes between you and heaven. No amount is too small. Even the smallest candle adds warmth to a cold room. Your generosity, whether through attention, kindness, or contribution, helps this light continue to flow where it is most needed. Each act of support is a drop of oil on the altar, ensuring the flame never goes out. Whether you simply share this message forward, subscribe to remain within this stream of revelation, or sow a seed into its growth, you are joining hands with heaven in spreading light. The choice, as always, is yours. No pressure, no demand, only an open invitation. You are already part of this movement simply by being here, by listening, by allowing truth to stir within you. And as this flame travels from your heart to others, remember this: what you sustain, heaven strengthens. What you give life to, heaven multiplies. You are not only a receiver of revelation, you are a keeper of fire. Let your generosity of attention, action, and heart be the bridge that carries light further than any single voice ever could. The night quiets once more, but this time the silence feels like purpose. You sense heaven moving in the unseen again, not to mark this time, but to measure, to search hearts ready for obedience, not applause. The seal upon your spirit still hums faintly, yet now its rhythm changes. It's not just identity anymore, it's instruction. You begin to feel a tug, gentle but constant, pulling you towards something new. It's that inner nudge that whispers, "Move." The season of stillness has done its work. Now comes the season of response. The mark that once rested quietly within you begins to radiate outward, summoning divine alignment. You might notice sudden thoughts that feel too purposeful to be your own, encounters that seem random but unfold with meaning. Heaven doesn't shout, it orchestrates. The marked ones begin to walk paths prepared long before they ever prayed for direction. Every step now echoes with invisible order. It's important to remember, obedience doesn't always make sense at first. The call often leads you through small doors that look unimpressive, yet those humble paths lead to holy places. The chosen understand that faith is not just belief, it's motion. You move even when you don't have all the details. There was a chosen one named Levan who once faced this exact tension. He had felt the nudge for weeks to leave his comfort zone, to begin something new, but fear disguised itself as logic. He said, "Maybe later." Then one night, he dreamed of standing beside a river. The current was strong, glowing faintly like liquid light. A voice said, "Step in, or the water moves without you." When he woke, he finally understood. The current of heaven waits for no one. Those who move become part of its flow. Those who hesitate watch it pass. You, too, may be feeling that. Pull the quiet call to step into what you cannot yet see. It might not be dramatic. It could be as simple as forgiving, as starting again, as speaking what you've hidden. Each step of obedience reshapes your future. As recorded in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." That verse is your mirror. The light within you grows stronger with every act of obedience. The path doesn't flash all at once. It brightens with each faithful step. And as your journey unfolds, you'll notice something beautiful. Heaven responds to motion. The moment you move, resources appear, people appear, answers you searched for suddenly stand, waiting, still. Obedience is rarely easy. There will be moments when logic screams louder than faith. That's when you remember obedience isn't about understanding everything. It's about trusting the one who understands you completely. The mark upon your life was never meant to stay silent. It's the beginning of a divine conversation, a rhythm of call and response. Every yes you whisper creates ripples in the unseen. If your spirit feels this, take a moment. Breathe deeply. Let your yes form not just in thought, but in action. Then, when you're ready, type 888 below. It's not superstition, it's symbolism. The number 8 speaks of new beginnings, of eternal flow, of cycles completed and restarted in grace. Typing it is your quiet agreement with heaven, a sign that you are ready for renewal. Because the truth is, heaven does not wait forever. Opportunities of obedience are windows that open briefly, then shift with divine timing. This isn't about pressure, it's about permission. Heaven isn't forcing your hand, it's inviting your heart. As you continue to walk, remember, obedience is not the opposite of freedom, it's the highest form of it. The mark was never meant to bind you, it was meant to liberate you into purpose. Your next step may be small, unseen, unnoticed, but it might also be the one that changes everything. When you move in obedience, heaven moves with you. Every quiet step releases sound in the unseen, a resonance that aligns circumstances, hearts, and timing. You are never walking alone. Grace walks beside you. Sometimes the proof of obedience isn't an instant miracle, but an inner knowing peace where fear once lived. That stillness is the first reward. Heaven's way of saying, you're on the right path. And so stay steady. Every act of obedience writes a new chapter in your divine story. You are building momentum in silence, shaping futures with faith, one unseen step at a time. Something subtle begins to happen in the days that follow. You start to feel a heaviness, not a burden, but a sacred weight. It is as if heaven has laid a mantle across your shoulders, one woven not of fabric but of glory. You carry it without trying. It clings to you like morning mist, invisible, yet undeniable. This is the weight of glory, the divine substance that settles upon those whom God has trusted with His presence. It's not a reward, it's a responsibility. The same light that comforts also purifies. The same fire that warms also refines. When heaven rests upon a person, it brings both honor and gravity. You may notice that ordinary moments now feel charged with meaning. A conversation turns into revelation. A quiet walk becomes communion. The line between sacred and simple dissolves because the kingdom is not confined to temples or gatherings. It now resides in you. You begin to understand what prophets meant when they spoke of carrying the presence of God. It's not about fame or noise, it's about stewardship. The marked ones carry weight wherever they go because they carry heaven's atmosphere within them. Rooms shift when they enter, not because of their words, but because the unseen kingdom walks in with them. At first, this weight feels overwhelming. You sense emotions more deeply. You hear people's pain before they speak it. You find yourself moved by compassion that doesn't seem to come from you. This is part of the transformation, the Spirit sharing His heartbeat with yours. To be marked is to become an echo of heaven's mercy. There was once a chosen one named Dara. After her marking, she noticed a strange sensitivity. She could no longer ignore suffering or gossip without feeling grief. Even when no one else saw injustice, it stirred her spirit. She prayed more, not because she had to, but because her heart couldn't rest otherwise. One day, she realized the truth. The closer you walk with heaven, the heavier your heart becomes for what breaks God's. That is the true weight of glory, to carry divine compassion in human skin, as declared in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. And for that verse breathes differently when you live it. The weight you carry now is not punishment for the past, but preparation for the unveiling. The glory doesn't just rest on you, it grows within you, like light gathering strength before dawn. And as that glory increases, it begins to test what remains in your heart. You'll feel heaven inviting you to release things you once clung to: old habits, unnecessary battles, hidden pride. The weight demands space, and anything that hinders must go. This isn't loss, it's refinement. You are making room for the divine to dwell fully. There will be moments of solitude that feel like separation. You'll wonder why certain people fade, why old desires vanish. Yet if you listen closely, you'll hear a soft assurance: I'm making you lighter, so my presence can rest deeper. The paradox of glory is this: it feels heavy, yet it frees you. You are learning the art of carrying God without collapsing under Him. The weight of glory trains your spirit in endurance. It teaches you to walk with grace under pressure, to hold peace in chaos, to stand still when the world trembles. Every burden becomes an altar. Every challenge becomes a chance to reveal light. The marked ones often walk misunderstood. People may sense something different, but can't name it. They may misinterpret your quietness as distance, your discernment as pride. But heaven knows the truth. You are learning to move carefully under sacred weight. You cannot run the same as before. You move with purpose now. Sometimes the glory feels like silence. Other times, it feels like fire under your skin. Both are holy. Both are signs that heaven is near. The silence humbles, the fire empowers. Together, they mold you into someone who carries divine power with human gentleness. This weight is not forever crushing. It strengthens you for the call ahead. Each day, you walk with it. Your spirit expands. You grow more anchored, more aware, more surrendered. The world may never understand, but heaven rejoices every time you carry it with humility instead of pride. So, as you move through your days, remember, this glory is not decoration. It's destiny in motion. It bends your will until it aligns with His, teaching you to host heaven in a human frame. You were not chosen to shine for applause, but to illuminate paths for others still lost in shadow. The weight upon you is proof that heaven trusts you to bear light where darkness lingers. The more you carry it, the more you will realize it was never meant to crush you. It was meant to crown you. The more the glory grows within you, the more clearly you begin to see what opposes it. Light reveals everything, both beauty and counterfeit. That is why the next season of your awakening is marked by discernment. Not everything that shines is holy. And not every voice that sounds divine comes from heaven. The closer you walk with truth, the louder imitation tries to speak. This is the unveiling of the counterfeit light. It often comes softly, wrapped in comfort, clothed in good intentions. It does not arrive in open rebellion, but in quiet distortion. It mimics the language of faith, but lacks the fragrance of surrender. It flatters instead of refines, entertains instead of transforms. The enemy's most dangerous trick is not darkness, it's imitation. At first, you might not recognize it. It looks familiar, almost reassuring. It appeals to what you want rather than what you need. It says, you can have purpose without process, or you can carry glory without surrender. But heaven's truth never bypasses transformation. The seal of God carries weight because it is real. The counterfeit feels light because it is hollow. Once there was a chosen one named Joel. After being marked, he began to sense a growing influence over others. People admired his words, his insight. But one night, while praying, he saw a vision of a mirror glowing with false light. It shone brightly, but reflected nothing true. A whisper came, "This is what happens when light forgets its source." Joel understood then that not all brightness comes from heaven. Some lights exist only to distract eyes from the sun. You will encounter such illusions too. They may appear as easy answers, shortcuts, or appealing philosophies. They offer peace without repentance, power without humility, revelation without prayer. These are imitations, beautiful on the outside, barren on the inside. The counterfeit light promises freedom while secretly tightening chains. The Spirit spoke through the Apostle in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 14, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light." That line pierces through every generation because the deception still breathes today. The counterfeit light doesn't demand that you worship darkness. It only asks that you trust something other than God. It's subtle, polite, and patient, but its goal remains the same: to dilute devotion, to turn purity into performance. Your seal, however, is your safeguard. Those who are truly marked will feel discomfort around what is false. The Spirit within you becomes an inner compass, vibrating at the slightest distortion. You'll notice it, a tightening in your chest, a hesitation in your peace, a small warning whisper that says, "Not this." That is heaven protecting you through discernment. The more time you spend in authentic presence, the easier it becomes to identify imitation when your heart knows the sound of the shepherd. Every counterfeit echo feels wrong. You won't even need to debate truth. It will simply resonate differently. Truth carries weight, lies feel hollow. Sometimes, the counterfeit doesn't appear spiritual at all. It hides in distraction, in busyness, in the endless pursuit of validation. Anything that dulls your awareness of heaven's voice becomes part of that imitation light. That's why stillness is sacred. It resets your frequency back to truth. You will also learn that discernment is not judgment. It's protection with compassion. The chosen do not expose imitation to boast. They reveal it to rescue. Remember, even those who walk in false light are often deceived themselves. They need truth wrapped in mercy, not condemnation. There will be moments when you'll want to confront every lie you see, but wisdom will teach you timing. Some truths must be spoken, others must be lived. The greatest defense against deception is authenticity. You don't fight false light by shouting. It fades when you keep shining genuinely. Let the light within you remain anchored in humility. When you speak, let love weigh your words. When you discern, let peace be your guide. For the mark you carry isn't just authority, it's accountability. Heaven didn't seal you to compete with others' brightness, but to guard the purity of its flame. In time, you'll look back and realize how much false light once surrounded you and how gracefully heaven taught you to see through it. The counterfeit will lose its allure because your eyes have adjusted to real glory. You'll recognize that what makes true light powerful isn't its brightness, but its source. True light doesn't beg to be seen. It reveals, heals, and endures. It carries peace, not performance. And now, that same light has found a permanent home within you, guiding your every step with quiet, unshakable truth. The night feels alive again, but this time not with tension, rather with unity. You begin to sense a stirring in the spirit that feels larger than yourself. It's as if countless unseen hearts are beating in rhythm with yours. Across the world, others, marked by the same divine seal, are waking at the same hour, drawn by the same unseen call. The air vibrates with one shared sound, the cry of the remnant. It's not a sound you hear with your ears, but you feel it deep within your chest. It's that ache when you see the world's brokenness and whisper, "Come, Lord." It's the pull to intercede when others scroll past tragedy. It's the tears that rise without warning, not from despair, but from divine empathy. Heaven has a heartbeat, and tonight, yours matches it. The remnant are those who have been both crushed and called. They've tasted loss but refused to let bitterness take root. They've been misunderstood, mocked for their devotion, yet remained steadfast. They are heaven's quiet warriors, people who don't seek attention but attract it through authenticity. The world rarely notices them, yet heaven cannot move without them. You, chosen one, are part of this hidden army. You've been trained in silence, refined through waiting, strengthened through surrender, and now your cry joins with countless others across nations and generations. Together, the sound becomes like thunder in the spirit realm, a vibration that shakes invisible walls. There was once a man named Elias who understood this call. He spent years alone in deserts, praying for revival he never saw with his eyes. One night, exhausted and uncertain, he heard a faint echo in his spirit, "You're not alone." He later learned that across the world, other hearts were crying the same prayer at the same moment. The realization changed everything. It wasn't isolation, it was orchestration. Heaven had gathered voices across distances to sing one sound of surrender. As spoken in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 17, "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears. He delivers them from all their troubles." That promise still breathes tonight. Heaven hears every sigh, every prayer whispered between tears becomes sound in the courts of eternity. Nothing you've prayed in pain has been ignored. The cry of the remnant doesn't vanish. It accumulates until heaven answers in power, and the answer is near. You can feel it. The weight of expectancy fills the air. The marked ones, spread across continents, are beginning to move in sync. You might not know their names, but your spirits recognize each other. When you meet, There's no need for introduction. The light within you greets the light within them. It's the family of fire finding one another. You are part of a divine symphony. Each prayer, a note. Each act of faith, a drumbeat. And as these sounds rise together, something in heaven responds. The cry below becomes the command above. The Spirit moves not because of noise, but because of unity. It's time to let your cry join the chorus. You don't need eloquence. Heaven translates authenticity. All you must do is yield your sound. Now, right below, I stand ready. And it's more than words, it's alignment. It's your voice adding its note to heaven's melody. When you type it, you're saying, "Count me among the remnant who still believe." This isn't performance, it's participation. You are acknowledging your place in the eternal harmony. For the cry of the remnant is not just a plea, it's a declaration. It says, "We will not bow to fear." It proclaims that even in chaos, heaven's people remain unmoved. So lift your spirit in quiet defiance of despair. The cry of the faithful shakes foundations more than any shout of anger ever could. It's the sound that births revival, the echo that summons glory. When heaven hears your sound and the sound of others like you, it doesn't just respond, it descends. The cry of the remnant pulls eternity into time. So don't hold back your voice. Let it rise, steady and sincere. The world may not hear it, but heaven does, and that's enough. When your spirit cries, heaven doesn't just listen, it harmonizes. Every whisper becomes part of a divine song, weaving mercy through the fabric of time. Your pain becomes melody. Your endurance becomes rhythm. Your faith becomes sound. The cry of the remnant is not weakness, it's agreement. It says, "We trust even here." That trust shifts the unseen, commanding angels to move and storms to still. Heaven always responds to a united sound of surrender. So keep crying out, not in despair, but in devotion. Each breath you release in faith writes history. You are part of heaven's heartbeat, pulsing through the world's darkest hours. The world around you begins to shift, not through explosions of change, but through quiet ripples of obedience. The cry of the remnant has reached heaven. And now heaven begins to answer, not with thunder, but with crowns. The unseen coronation begins. You do not feel a physical crown on your head, but something within you stands taller. You sense a quiet authority rising, not arrogance, but assurance. It's the knowing that you carry heaven's endorsement. Where others strive for recognition, you now walk in rest. You no longer need validation. Your crown is invisible but undeniable. Heaven crowns the humble first. The loud often reach for thrones, but heaven looks for hearts that kneel. The unseen coronation is happening all over the world, ordinary people being entrusted with extraordinary purpose. The 1440000 are not chosen because of perfection, but because of posture. Imagine it, crowns not of gold or jewels, but of light woven from obedience. They gleam with humility, compassion, and endurance. The more you surrender, the brighter it shines. Every time you forgive, instead of retaliate, your crown gains a gem. Every time you choose peace over pride, the light deepens. There was once a chosen one named Mira. She never led crowds or stood on stages. Her ministry was her kindness, her prayer, her quiet consistency. One evening, as she prayed for a world that never knew her name, she saw a vision, an angel placing a crown made of woven light on her head. The voice said, "This is for every silent yes." And she understood, heaven rewards not noise, but faithfulness. As written in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who endures the trial. Having stood the test, they will receive the crown of life." That promise lives within you. The unseen coronation is not a future moment, it's unfolding now. Every act of love, every hidden prayer, every unseen obedience polishes your invisible crown. Heaven doesn't decorate you after victory, it dresses you during the battle. Now, if this message touches you, let your heart respond in the way it naturally desires, not out of obligation, but out of connection. Your simple like or share is like lighting another candle from your flame. Each click becomes a spark, carrying this message farther into the darkness where another soul waits to be reminded of their worth. Subscribing is like planting your roots in the same soil of revelation. It's saying, "Keep pouring light here, I'm still listening." It's not about following a voice. It's about staying in the flow of truth that strengthens you daily. And if ever your spirit feels moved, giving or donating becomes more than an act. It becomes an offering of oil to keep the lamps burning. Think of it like tending a lighthouse on a stormy coast. The waves never stop. The winds never rest. But the light must keep shining for those lost at sea. Your generosity fuels that beam. This isn't a demand, it's an invitation. You are free to give, to share, or simply to receive. Every choice made in love becomes part of the light. Giving is not about amount, it's about alignment. You are not paying for words, you are partnering with heaven's movement. Picture it this way: your act of kindness, no matter how small, is a drop of honey added to heaven's jar. It sweetens the path for someone else, someone who might be struggling to taste hope again. You are part of a great exchange, light for darkness, generosity for despair, faith for fear. Each action you take out of love becomes sacred currency in heaven's economy. So, as the unseen coronation continues, walk gently with your invisible crown. You carry royalty that doesn't boast, glory that doesn't glitter. Every click, every share, every quiet gift is a petal in the crown of obedience you already wear. And whether you give, listen, or simply let this truth rest in your spirit, remember, you are part of something beautiful, something eternal. You are one of heaven's crowned flames, chosen to illuminate, not impress. Let your light keep shining. Let your crown keep glowing. For the King who marked you is still watching and smiling. Every crown, seen or unseen, is proof of endurance. You didn't earn it through perfection, you received it through persistence. Heaven delights not in flawless people, but in faithful ones who rise again after falling. So lift your head. Even if the world cannot see the light above you, heaven can. Every step you take in love polishes that crown brighter. You are not just wearing glory, you are becoming it one quiet, radiant act at a time. The weight of the crown settles differently than you imagined. It doesn't make you feel superior, it humbles you. You realize the crown was never about status, it was about stewardship. It reminds you that heaven trusts you to carry both tenderness and truth. The unseen coronation was not an ending, it was an initiation. From the moment that crown touched your spirit, your life began to take on new depth. You start to notice the power of covenant working quietly around you. Doors that were once sealed begin to open. Paths that were once confusing begin to make sense. You feel guided, almost carried, as if invisible hands steady your every step. This is the covenant of blood and fire, the sacred agreement between heaven and those who have endured the refining. Blood represents the cost, fire represents the transformation. Together, they bind you to divine purpose. To walk under this covenant means you are no longer living by your own will. You belong entirely to God's design. At first, this realization can feel heavy. You begin to see how every test, every heartbreak, every delay was part of your preparation. None of it was wasted. The pain that once confused you now becomes evidence of calling. You start to understand that suffering was not punishment. It was the fire that proved your purity. There was once a chosen one named Taran. He had prayed for years to be used by heaven, but his life seemed to unravel instead. Everything he built fell apart. One night, in complete surrender, he said, "If all I have left is you, it's enough." That night, a warmth filled his chest, a fire that did not burn but clarified. He realized later that the covenant is not made in comfort but in surrender. To carry this covenant is to live differently. You can no longer treat sacred things as casual. Words weigh more. Choices hecho longer. You understand that every action now carries spiritual consequence. Every decision writes part of heaven's script through your obedience. The marked ones cannot live lightly. Their lives are instruments tuned to divine resonance. As revealed in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 29, "For our God is a consuming fire." This truth no longer frightens you, it refines you. The consuming fire doesn't destroy what's holy, it devours what's false. When you carry this fire, you become both flame and fuel. It purifies you, but it also lights others. Every place you walk becomes a small altar. Every word you speak, a spark of eternity. You'll notice that with this covenant comes a sacred stillness. You no longer chase what doesn't fit. You no longer fight for places where grace has lifted. The covenant has adjusted your internal compass. You are now drawn to what carries the same frequency of holiness. This new awareness can make you more sensitive. You may feel other people's burdens more deeply. Sometimes you'll find yourself weeping for reasons you can't explain. That's intercession, born from fire. The covenant turns your empathy into prayer, your compassion into spiritual warfare. You are not just surviving, you are representing heaven on earth. But even as this fire burns within you, peace remains. It is not the peace of still waters, it's the peace of confidence. You know that even when storms rise, your roots will not shake. Fire may surround you, but it cannot consume what God has already claimed. You begin to love differently. Your kindness carries more weight. You forgive faster, speak slower, and listen longer. The covenant rewires you from reaction to revelation. What once irritated you now instructs you. What once wounded you now deepens you. This is the paradox of being sealed in blood and fire. You are both tender and powerful. The same heart that breaks easily for others now burns fiercely for truth. You are not just changed, you are charged. And though no one may ever see the covenant etched upon your spirit, heaven sees it clearly. Angels recognize the glow that surrounds those bound to divine purpose. Even darkness keeps its distance. knowing you are flame-marked. You walk forward now as a living altar, your life a steady offering, your breath a prayer, your presence a testimony that fire can purify without destroying. This is what it means to belong completely, to be consumed, yet made whole. When you walk under this covenant, you no longer seek proof. You are the proof. Every step you take radiates the evidence of divine ownership. Heaven doesn't just speak through you, it breathes through you. And as you move, the fire follows, guiding, guarding, refining, never leaving. You are forever sealed in purpose. The air grows still again, but this silence feels heavier, sacred, almost sobering. You sense something shifting, not only within you, but around you. The time of marking and refining has passed. The moment of separation has begun. Heaven is drawing an invisible line across the earth. The marked and the unmarked now walk two distinct paths. You can feel it in conversations that no longer flow, in friendships that fade, in atmospheres that once felt light, but now feel restless. It's not rejection, it's revelation. The light within you now exposes what has long hidden in shadows. Those who carry truth will be pulled together, while those who resist it drift away. This is the separation hour, not born of pride, but of purpose. Heaven is positioning every soul for its appointed place. Like wheat being sifted from chaff, hearts are being revealed for what they truly are. The season of pretending is ending. The time for purity has arrived. At first, this division may ache. You will want to hold on to everyone and everything familiar. But heaven whispers, "Release what I have not marked." It's not that others are enemies, it's simply that their assignment differs from yours. Some were meant to walk with you for a chapter, not a lifetime. There was once a chosen one named Serene. She tried to keep every person close, afraid that letting go would mean failure. But one night, as she prayed, she saw a vision of a tree in autumn. Its leaves glowed gold as they fell, carried by wind toward other gardens. The voice said, "You are not losing them. I am planting them elsewhere." From that day on, she understood the separation was not punishment, but multiplication. As revealed in the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15, "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, but as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." And that ancient declaration echoes again now. The separation hour is not random, it's response. Every heart must choose light or comfort, truth or convenience, surrender or silence. And your spirit has already chosen light. You may notice that environments once comfortable now feel too small for your spirit. Certain words sting differently. Certain atmospheres leave you weary. That's not sensitivity, it's discernment. The mark cannot coexist peacefully with what dishonors it. The separation hour is not meant to isolate you, it's meant to refine your circle. Heaven is protecting your peace. Voices around you shape direction. And the next season of your purpose requires clarity, not clutter. You'll also recognize new alignments forming. People you've never met will suddenly appear, carrying the same light. They won't compete with you, they'll complement you. These divine connections remind you that though separation hurts, it never leaves you alone. Do not resist what heaven removes. Every door that closes now is mercy. Every distance that grows is design. Let go so the light can travel freely again. There is beauty in separation, It sanctifies. It gives you space to breathe, to remember who you are without distraction. Heaven cannot entrust heavy glory to divided hearts. Motives will be revealed. Some will draw nearer. Others will recoil. Don't chase either. Simply remain faithful. The line between light and shadow grows clearer, so heaven can bring revelation, not division. Now, in this quiet moment of realization, let your spirit respond. The separation isn't punishment. It's proof that you are part of heaven's inner circle. If your heart bears witness to this truth, type 9,999 below. It means, I choose my side. It's a simple act of saying, even if others fall away, I remain. The number represents completion before renewal, the closing of one chapter before the dawn of another. You may feel lonely, but solitude with God is never empty. The separation doesn't shrink you, it sharpens you. Heaven was never taking something from you. It was clearing ground so your roots could grow deeper. You are not being cut off, you are being set apart. Let peace settle over you as the dust of separation clears. You will see that every distance heaven allowed was direction disguised as loss. The path may feel narrower now, but it is purer, brighter, and steady beneath your feet. What once defined you no longer fits because growth demands shedding. The pruning you've endured was not rejection, it was the gardener's care, cutting away what no longer bore fruit so that new life could emerge stronger than before. Stand firm in your chosen light. The silence after separation is not emptiness, it is sacred space where destiny begins to echo louder than distraction. After the separation comes stillness, and within that stillness, something begins to stir. It's faint at first, like the sound of distant thunder or the whisper of a coming tide. You can sense heaven shifting again. But this time the movement is not external. It's within you. The seal that once marked you silently now begins to awaken. This is the awakening of power, a sacred ignition that doesn't burst forth all at once, but rises steadily, like dawn overtaking the night. You begin to notice a strength inside that feels unfamiliar yet ancient. It is not the confidence of the flesh, but the boldness of the spirit. What once intimidated you now feels small. What once silenced you now ignites you. You realize that power, in heaven's language, doesn't always roar. Sometimes it breathes. It appears in your ability to love beyond reason, to forgive what was never apologized for, to speak peace into places that only knew pain. This kind of power doesn't dominate, it transforms. There was once a chosen one named Elias, a quiet man who never thought of himself as strong. After the season of separation, he felt empty, unsure of who he had become. One day, while helping rebuild a small home destroyed by storms, he felt an energy move through him. The tiredness vanished, and with every beam he lifted, others grew stronger too. That night, heaven whispered, "My strength begins where yours ends." And he finally understood, awakening power is not about control, but cooperation. As revealed in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." Then, that line is no longer distant scripture, it becomes breath within you. The more you surrender, the more power flows. The less you strive, the more heaven moves. It is the mystery of divine paradox. Yielding becomes victory. You begin to see how this awakening weaves through your ordinary life. Simple conversations suddenly carry weight. People feel comforted by your presence without knowing why. Your words, when spoken gently, land with authority. Even your silence begins to carry meaning. Heaven's power does not need spectacle. It moves subtly, steadily, like a river shaping stone. This awakening also brings awareness. You start to sense spiritual currents more sharply, the heaviness in certain rooms, the peace in others. You recognize when something carries heaven's fragrance and when it does not. This is discernment, sharpened by fire. The mark within you now hums with a rhythm that reacts to both truth and deception. But with this power comes responsibility. The same light that heals can also reveal. And sometimes what it reveals hurts. You may see hidden motives, unspoken pain, or quiet suffering in others. Do not be alarmed. Heaven is training you to carry sight with compassion. The awakened must never forget tenderness. Power without empathy becomes pride, and pride forfeits anointing. As days unfold, you'll notice new patterns emerging. Dreams become clearer. Scripture feels alive. Songs sound like prophecy. The world looks familiar but moves differently, as though creation itself recognizes that you now walk with authority. This is not imagination, it is alignment. The earth responds to those who carry heaven's imprint. This awakening also shifts how you handle opposition. What used to drain you now deepens you. Attacks that once frightened you now refine you. You no longer react, you respond. You are learning that true strength doesn't come from avoiding battles, but from standing in peace while they rage. Heaven's power within you is not random energy, it is strategic grace. Every spark is meant to heal, every word to build, every act to reveal God's nature through human hands. You are not just carrying light, you are becoming conduit for it. Soon you will realize that power doesn't mean you will never feel weak again. Instead, it means that even in weakness, heaven still moves through you. The vessel may tremble, but the oil remains pure. The awakening of power is quiet, but it is irreversible. Once your spirit tastes its strength, it can never go back to living in fear. You will face storms with steady eyes, speak truth with gentle authority, and walk through darkness knowing it cannot recognize you anymore. The same God who called you out of hiding is now calling you into impact. You were refined to carry fire, and now that fire is awake, you are not merely chosen, you are charged. Carry it humbly, carry it wisely, and let it keep rising until everything around you begins to remember what heaven placed within you from the very beginning. The awakening within you begins to radiate outward. At first, you think it's just confidence, returning. But then you notice darkness starts to respond differently. The same shadows that once whispered fear now hesitate to approach. You have become a living contradiction, peaceful yet powerful, gentle yet untouchable. The light that awakened inside you now announces itself to the unseen world. This is the battle over the seal. Every chosen one faces it. Once heaven marks you, darkness marks you too, not to own, but to oppose. The enemy cannot remove what God has sealed, but it will try to distract, distort, and drain. It's not after your peace, it's after your focus. For where your focus goes, your fire follows. You begin to notice subtle resistance, strange fatigue, unnecessary conflict. confusion that seems to come from nowhere. These are not coincidences. They are reactions. The mark you carry is visible in the spirit realm, and darkness recognizes it as a threat. But here is the truth. Opposition is confirmation. The presence of resistance means you are advancing. Once, there was a chosen one named Amiel. After his awakening, people who once supported him began to misunderstand him. Doors closed. Miscommunication spread. He thought he had lost favor, but during a night of prayer, he saw a vision, a burning seal shining on his chest. Surrounded by storm winds, each gust tried to extinguish the flame, but the fire grew brighter instead. A voice said, "The storm is not against you, it's revealing you." And that is how every chosen battle works. It doesn't destroy the marked, it exposes their endurance. As written in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." Lando, that truth becomes your armor. You no longer fear what rises against you because you recognize who stands within you. The same God who sealed you did not do so to leave you unprotected. The seal itself carries heaven's defense. You do not fight for victory, you fight from it. When the battle intensifies, it's easy to mistake noise for loss. But understand this, storms are drawn to heat. The brighter your light, the louder the winds. The enemy hopes to make you doubt your own glow, to convince you that the struggle means you've failed. But battles don't come to the weak, they come to the significant. You begin to feel power moving differently through you. Now, prayer feels stronger, sharper. Words spoken in faith seem to slice through confusion like lightning. This is authority awakening through pressure. The very resistance that tried to wear you down has now become your training ground. Every confrontation with darkness teaches you to wield light more skillfully. But even here, humility remains your shield. The marked who win their battles know one secret: the fight was never theirs. You do not conquer by striving, you conquer by abiding. Peace is your sword, and worship is your strategy. When you rest in divine assurance, the enemy grows weary of attacking what it cannot disturb. You may also sense emotional turbulence, a sudden wave of doubt, discouragement, or heaviness. These are echoes, not defeats. They are reminders that your spirit is advancing faster than your surroundings. Don't panic when old fears resurface. They rise only to be burned away. Sometimes you'll feel heaven's silence during the battle. But silence doesn't mean absence, it means confidence. God doesn't need to repeat promises. He already sealed into your spirit. The mark on your life is louder than any noise against it. In time, you'll learn to interpret warfare as worship. The friction of opposition produces heat, and that heat becomes offering. Every tear becomes oil. Every trial, a tool. Every wound, an entry point for glory. Soon, you realize the battle was never truly about you. It was about what you carry. Darkness cannot attack heaven directly, so it tries to reach heaven through you. But every time you refuse to bend, you remind hell that heaven still wins. The seal was not meant to keep you safe from battle, it was meant to make you victorious in it. What you carry now is unshakable. Even your weakness becomes weapon when surrendered. You are no longer a fragile vessel, you are a torch wrapped in grace. And as the battle begins to fade, you see what remains: clarity, courage, and quiet triumph. The war did not steal your peace, It revealed its depth. You walk forward, not untouched, but unbroken. This is how the marked emerge from warfare, stronger, wiser, and still shining. The battle quiets. The air feels different, now lighter, clearer, almost weightless. You sense the war has ended. Not because everything around you has changed, but because everything within you has. The fire no longer burns wildly, it steadies. The voice within no longer trembles. It speaks with calm authority. You have crossed from survival into revelation. This is the revelation of identity, the moment the marked finally see who they have become. You are no longer the one searching for purpose. You are the living proof of it. Heaven doesn't just move around you now. It moves through you. You have become the message, the miracle, and the manifestation. It begins gently. You notice peace where anxiety used to live. You feel grace in places where you once carried guilt. You catch your reflection and realize your eyes look different. They carry warmth, like someone who has seen both war and wonder, and found beauty in both. You now understand why the fire was necessary. It burned away the false so truth could breathe. Identity is not discovered in comfort. It's revealed in confrontation. Every delay, every disappointment, every lonely night shaped the reflection heaven was creating in you. You are not what happened to you. You are what you allowed God to form through it. There was once a woman named Lyra who spent years asking heaven for signs that she was chosen. Silence answered her for so long that she doubted everything. But one night, while caring for a sick neighbor, she felt a peace that melted her fear. No angel appeared, just stillness that said, "This is who you are." She realized identity was never about being seen, it was about becoming love. As written in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 10, "By God's grace I am, and His grace to me was not in vain. I labored through grace, His power in me." That truth now sits gently in your spirit. You no longer chase affirmation, you carry assurance. You walk differently because you finally know you are not striving to be chosen. You were chosen to reveal. Every marked one reaches this moment, where heaven holds a mirror before the soul and says, "Look again." And as you do, you begin to recognize the reflection. It is stronger, quieter, fuller of light. You've learned that identity isn't loud, it's luminous. It doesn't need to announce itself. It simply exists and transforms everything it touches. The truest version of you has always been hidden beneath surrender. Now, as you walk in this new awareness, something beautiful begins to happen. People notice your peace. They sense calm when you speak. They ask questions not about doctrine, but about presence. And when they do, you realize the revelation of identity is not for ego, it's for empathy. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your authenticity. And if this truth has found a resting place in your spirit, let it move through you naturally. When you like or share what awakens your soul, you are not promoting a post, you are extending light. It's like lighting another candle from your flame, so someone else can find their way in the dark. Subscribing becomes a quiet act of belonging, a way of saying, "Keep speaking. I'm still listening." It's not a transaction, it's a tether between hearts that recognize the same rhythm of faith. And if ever your heart feels stirred to donate, imagine it not as giving money, but as planting an olive tree. The fruit may feed people you'll never meet. The shade may comfort travelers you'll never know. but heaven sees every seed, and if this reflection touched something within you, leave a word below, perhaps just, "Light lives." It isn't about visibility, it's about resonance. Your words become echoes reminding others they are not alone in the journey. You are free to give or simply receive. There is no demand, only invitation. Heaven values purity of intention more than the size of offering. Even a single act of kindness is a coin of gold in eternity. You have become part of something sacred. Each response, each whispered yes, becomes a ripple that carries heaven's heartbeat into the world. So let every action, every like, every share, every word, every act of generosity be your way of whispering back to heaven, "I remember who I am." Your remembrance becomes worship the kind that needs no song, only sincerity. Every quiet moment of gratitude, every act of love, is proof that the revelation has taken root. Heaven smiles through your obedience. And as you walk forward, identity no longer feels like discovery, it feels like home. You are light remembered, love restored, purpose reborn. The stillness after revelation carries its own sound, a low hum of readiness. Like the earth before rain, you feel it deep within. The waiting has ended. The refining, the silence, the separation, the awakening, all were chapters leading here. The moment has come for heaven to send you forth. This is the final assignment, the sacred commissioning of those who have been marked, tested, and transformed. You are no longer being prepared, you are being positioned. The light within you has matured from spark to steady flame, and heaven now breathes on it with purpose. At first, you may wonder what this assignment looks like. It rarely arrives as grand revelation or a scroll written in gold. More often, it begins in simplicity, in a conversation that heals, a prayer that covers, a decision that breaks old cycles. Heaven's greatest missions often hide within ordinary moments. There was once a chosen one named Caleb. He waited years for a sign that his time had come, longing for an angelic command or prophetic confirmation. Instead, one morning, a stranger stopped him on the street and said, "I don't know why, but I feel peace when I look at you." That was all it took. Caleb understood the mission wasn't somewhere else. It was already unfolding in the quiet intersections of his life. Heaven's assignments do not always announce themselves. They emerge through alignment. When your heart and God's rhythm beat together, every step becomes sacred. The place you stand becomes the platform. The people you encounter become the congregation. The work of your hands becomes the altar. As declared in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That promise rests upon you now. The days ahead will not diminish what has been done, they will magnify it. The light that has grown inside you is ready to find expression in action. You are the living temple where heaven's glory intends to dwell. You'll notice that your sensitivity has sharpened. The same voice that once whispered now guides with confidence. You feel nudges to reach out, to speak, to move. And though the world may not understand it, your spirit knows when heaven is directing the step. The assignments may appear small, but their ripples will be wide. And yet, even in this sending, humility remains your compass. You don't go as one who conquers, You go as one who carries peace. The marked are not called to impress, they are called to illuminate. Each act of obedience you offer becomes a seed. Heaven will water in unseen soil. This mission will not be without resistance. Every messenger must walk through landscapes that test endurance. There will be distractions designed to dull your focus, and voices that attempt to pull you backward. But remember, you were not chosen because of perfection. You were chosen because of perseverance. The same fire that once refined you will now defend you. Your power will not come from striving, but from staying. Stay rooted in truth. Stay gentle in spirit. Stay aware of divine timing. Heaven's strength flows through still hearts, not hurried hands. And when weariness tries to visit, recall how far you've come. Remember the nights when you doubted your worth, the days when silence felt endless, the tears that once carried questions. Those moments were training grounds, not punishments. Every scar you bear is now a doorway for grace to flow through. Your final assignment is not a single task, it is a lifestyle. It's the daily choice to be love where fear still lingers, to be light where confusion reigns, to be voice where silence has stolen hope. The true mission is not about doing, it's about being. When you live aligned, your existence itself becomes obedience. The world is quietly aching for authenticity, for someone who carries what they speak. That is your role now, to walk as evidence that heaven still partners with humanity. The assignment is not something you must find. It will find you as you live truthfully. And when it does, do not shrink back. Remember the covenant of fire that sealed you, the battles that refined you, the identity that now anchors you. You are not sent empty. You carry everything heaven invested during your waiting. So step forward gently, boldly, and faithfully, not as someone who knows all answers, but as one who carries presence. Wherever you go, heaven follows. Wherever you stand, light lingers. This is the purpose of the marking, to transform ordinary lives into living missions. You are heaven's message, written in flesh, moving across the earth to remind creation that glory still lives among us. You are not finishing your story. You are finally beginning it. And now, the journey draws near to its quiet summit. You stand at the threshold of completion, not as one exhausted, but as one enlightened. The long road behind you has been both battlefield and classroom. Every scar now glows faintly with meaning. Every unanswered question has folded into wisdom. You finally understand what heaven was doing all along. The seasons of silence, the nights of wrestling, the refining fires, they were not separate stories. They were one great conversation between you and eternity. Every delay was timing. Every loss was redirection. Every ache was a teacher disguised as absence. Now, standing in this clarity, you see it. You were never wandering. You were being woven. The weaving of purpose is the hidden masterpiece heaven builds from every fragmented thread. What felt broken now forms pattern. What seemed wasted now fits perfectly. Every sorrow becomes texture. Every miracle becomes color. Together they create a tapestry no one else could carry. You were not merely chosen for calling, you were crafted for continuity. There was once a chosen one named Nera. She often told God, "If you are truly with me, show me the plan." But heaven stayed silent. Years later, after a lifetime of trials and quiet triumphs, she looked back and said, He didn't show me the plan, he made me part of it. That is the revelation every marked one eventually reaches. Purpose is not a destination, it is a rhythm you grow into. As written in the book of Psalms, chapter 90, verse 17, "May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us." Yes, establish the work of our hands. Oh, that prayer now feels like your heartbeat. You sense the divine resting upon everything you touch. What once felt uncertain now feels anchored. Heaven has stitched eternity into your daily life. Even your smallest choices ripple with consequence because they are made in alignment with grace. The weaving of purpose does not erase your humanity, it redeems it. You still feel, laugh, cry, and stumble. But now you recognize the sacredness in it all. Even imperfection carries light when surrendered. The mark of God is not about becoming flawless, it's about becoming faithful. In this final stage, you'll notice the world around you start to respond differently. Creation recognizes its caretakers. Nature feels gentler. Conversations carry deeper tone. You speak fewer words, but they weigh more. You no longer need to convince or prove. The very atmosphere around you begins to mirror the peace within. You've become what the early prophets called a resting place for glory. Not a temporary vessel, but a living dwelling. Heaven doesn't visit you now, it abides. This is the quiet majesty of completion, not perfection achieved. But Union realized there is a stillness that comes when destiny and obedience finally agree. It feels like peace, but deeper. It's as if the universe exhales through you, whispering, "This is what you were born for." The noise that once haunted you can no longer reach this altitude. You live above it now, not in pride, but in perspective. The weaving continues, unseen yet unending. You will wake each morning and find new colors forming in the fabric of your days. Some hues will come from joy, others from pain, but all will shimmer under grace. You will live your purpose not in grand gestures, but in faithful rhythm, one heartbeat, one act of kindness, one kiet, yes at a time. You'll begin to realize that being chosen was never about superiority, it was about surrender. Heaven never needed perfect vessels, only willing ones. The crown you wear, the light you carry, the fire that burns within, they were all meant to serve, to heal, to restore. And though your journey has taken you through valleys and storms, it has led you to this mountaintop of stillness. From here, you can finally see that the hand guiding you was never distant. It was within, shaping you from the inside out. You are not at the end of something sacred. You are standing at its threshold, ready to live what you've learned. The world awaits the sound of your footsteps, the echo of your compassion, the quiet authority of your peace. This is what it means to be among the chosen, to be light that keeps burning, love that keeps giving, and presence that keeps healing long after words have faded. You were not chosen to escape the world. You were chosen to illuminate it. And as you walk forward from this moment, may heaven's favor rest upon you. May peace follow your trail. And may the story written through your life continue to speak long after your voice has gone silent. For the light you carry is eternal, and eternity always remembers its own. You have reached the closing of this divine journey, not a finish line, but a sacred breath before the next beginning. What has unfolded here was never just words. It was an encounter. Somewhere between the syllables, heaven whispered directly to you. You felt it not in your mind, but in your spirit. You've walked through fire, silence, revelation, and purpose. You've seen how pain can polish, how waiting can shape, how faith can rebuild. And now, you stand as living proof that light not only survives darkness, it defines it. You are no longer reading a message, you have become one. If this journey has stirred something deep within you, let that movement flow outward. When you like or share this message, imagine it as the release of doves, small wings carrying peace into unseen skies. You never know who those wings will find, or how many hearts they'll soften. And if your soul feels anchored here, subscribe. Think of it not as following a voice, but as planting your roots beside a river that keeps flowing. It's a quiet way of saying, I want to keep walking in this light. Oh, sometimes heaven uses our responses to reach others. So, if something resonated, leave a word below. It doesn't have to be grand. Even a whisper matters. Right. Light continues. Each word becomes an echo in the digital wilderness, reminding another wandering heart that they are not forgotten. And if generosity rises softly in you, let it. Giving or donating becomes like pouring oil into a lamp that must never go out. You are not funding noise, you are fueling remembrance. Every drop of kindness ensures that light continues to flow where it's most needed. There is no pressure, only invitation. To give, to share, to speak, to simply rest in the truth. You've heard it all belongs to the same song of grace. So, as this chapter closes, carry it with you. Carry the peace. Carry the fire. Carry the remembrance that you are one of the chosen, marked not just for greatness, but for goodness. Your story is not ending here. It is expanding. Keep walking. Keep shining. Keep choosing light.